Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Evolution Now. I'm your host, JJ Wolf, along with co-host Damian Chinapi, and we've got our guest today, Gilly. Gilly is an awesome cat. He's a designer. He's a creative person. He's an entrepreneur, and we're going to get deep today. So we're going to open with a quote. The outer work can never be small if the inner work is great. And the outer work can never be great if the inner work is small. That's Meister Eckhart. Our guest today is an artist and a CEO of the Love Apparel clothing line. He is well-traveled and proud of his Brooklyn roots. It's our pleasure to welcome to the Evolution Now project, Gilly. What's up?
Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you.
Welcome. Good to have you, man.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So, Damian.
All right, Gilly. So, yeah, let's start where we always start. What was an early source of inspiration that played a big influence on your life, Gilly?
Man, like my father's roots, being from Jamaica, my mom being from Barbados, just where I am right now, as far as being in Costa Rica and trying to grow my own food and be more sovereign. It just took me back to their roots, just being from the islands.
Beautiful.
So you say your parents had a big influence on your life, and did they instill a lot of like solid principles within you that you?
For sure. Like my dad always told me from when I was young, you reap what you sow, so anytime I was in athletics, anytime I did anything in my life, I always figured that you put the work in and you're going to get everything back tenfold. And that's what I'm doing right now, as far as just being here, planting trees and just trying to sow good seeds and like reap the benefits,
I love that. So the fact that you're talking about gardening, cultivating, you're investing time, you're putting something into the ground that you can't see, but you're still putting time and effort into it. So obviously that's a universal lesson, right? It's not where you get this immediate gratification or immediate reward. What you're doing is you're present enough to see the future. So I imagine that's how you live your life. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's funny about that is when I was in Miami, like in corporate America, and just getting laid off a couple of jobs, even though I was doing really well, that's what kind of put me on the path to be more sovereign and like move to a place where I can grow my own food. Because I've seen that sometimes in the corporate world, even if you work hard, maybe if the company's going in a different direction, or maybe if they see a cheaper route of, because I was in sales, obviously, and if they see a cheaper route of maybe hiring people for a little bit less of, base pay and restructuring the commission structure, they'll get rid of you. So it's not the same in that world, rather than when you go back to nature, nature always gives you everything you put in.
Yeah, nature is so abundant, and it's I've always thought like the biggest lie told to us is that money doesn't grow on trees. I mean, talk about avocados, almonds, hemp. I mean, whatever it is, it's like when you reap what you sow. When you put in the work, you get the results.
Sure.
And we're gonna get into. I've got so many questions to ask about your clothing line, because I think it's a super cool message, and I'm really excited for our audience to get to see more of it and to learn about the message. So yeah, there it is. Love is the answer. So how did you come up with that? I mean, that's what we're going to get into. But before that, I would ask, like, you're a pretty stylish guy. You've got different outfits that have different colors and loud expression. You got your ankh. What do you feel like? What does your personal style say about you?
I mean, nowadays, I feel like I'm a little more laid back with my style, a little more plain now that I'm here in Costa Rica, and I'm like getting into my own little vibe. But I don't know. I just kind of want people to see me and just understand exactly what's going through my mind, like exactly what I'm radiating out to everybody. That's where the love is the answer kind of came from. Was like for somebody to see, like, could be walking down anywhere and see that and just be like, wow, that doesn't make somebody smile. Then what's really going on in your life? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think people get people get hung up on the small things, or they get, you know, in a bad mood, or, you know, things in life can get you down, but it's like, it's important to remember to smile and just to remember to be grateful to be alive. I mean, that's what I kind of come back to that when I'm feeling like, you know, I'm off my path or whatever. And I'm always the one, I don't know if I think I might have got it from my mom, but I say hi to everybody, you know, and I'm the guy like I'm going through the cash register at a grocery store, and instead of just like passing by and saying thank you or whatever, you know, I'll be like, hey, how's your day? How's it going? What's up for you? You know, that kind of thing. And, you know, making people feel seen. I go for a run and I try to say good morning to as many people as I can. And it's a funny thing because like half the people will respond energetically, hey, good morning. And then half the people are like, oh my God, somebody said something to me. You know, it's like people aren't even used to people noticing them. But what are your thoughts, Damien?
Yeah, sometimes I say hi to people, but some days, like speaking of storms, I'm in my own mental storm, and I'm like so enwrapped in whatever little dramas have hypnotized my brain, where it's just head down. Like when I'm going for a run or walk, some days it's like, hey, what's up? Good morning. Other days it's just like, is that guy a serial killer? So I know both sides of the spectrum. It just depends. It depends on the day, really.
Yeah.
Right on.
So Gilly, you did say I feel like it's the natural flow of it. You did say love is the answer. Now, obviously, that's a pretty common saying. You know, what does it mean to you specifically?
Well, crazy. The story behind love is the answer is actually an ayahuasca ceremony. Like I never heard that saying until the first ayahuasca ceremony I did. Like I had like a telepathic message that was just like saying that over and over in my mind.
So,
like,
for our audience, Gilly, can you describe what a ayahuasca ceremony is like for people out there who don't know what it is and what it's for?
Well, for me personally, was just for more spiritual insight, you know, kind of like going within and learning more about myself, maybe unlocking different traumas that I might have had that I didn't know I had. That's what I was going into it to achieve. But, you know, I've talked to many people and everybody has different reasons why, you know, they might do that spiritual, I guess, elixir is what they would call it. But for me, yeah, it was just trying to go deep within, you know, just reach different depths of myself that maybe, you know, wouldn't come out on a normal basis. So that's what I went to personally do. And then while I was in the ceremony, a lot of things came up, but that was one thing that like I literally heard my own voice speaking to me. And then from there, you know, I just took it to another level.
Nice. And so love is the answer, was this message that was coming to you.
Yeah, it was a message that was coming to me. It was coming to me like somebody was speaking to me. Like it was like almost a telepathic message that was being repeated in my mind. And then after the ceremony, like maybe a week after that, I was watching a lot of documentaries just on ayahuasca retreats and different places around the world where they would do ayahuasca. And a lot of people had the same type of message, like this abundance of love. And then shortly after that, I realized that love is like the strongest frequency in the world, like on planet Earth.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that deeply. Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, you know, love, I mean, maybe desire, but love, people will do crazy things for love, right? Like a mama loves her baby so much she'll lift a car off her baby, right? Like it's like that with like Hulk mama strength that comes through, and the things that we do, you know, especially us men, I think we can relate, like, you know, when we're in love, the things that we'll do you know, when we see somebody that we're drawn to, and you know, we want to get that. We want to build a connection. We want to go after a woman that we're drawn to, or, you know, whatever it may be, right? Sacrifice, you know, paying for things, or traveling a great distance to see somebody, or, you know, just the love is this magnetic force that seems to like hold the universe together.
Or even in an environment. You know, some
100%.
A love for an environment, that a place that you would go where you feel like man, I love this place so much. You know, it kind of brings the best out of you when you're in that frequency.
And that's a great way to think of it. From what I know about hallucinogens, and I haven't done ayahuasca, but I've read about it, and it seems like an interesting experience and one that corresponds with healing. And like you said, wounds come up and certain illusions come up, and you go through this. I mean, what I've read, you go through this process where it's almost like you're shedding. Some people vomit and they're sick and there's crying. And what I hear from your story is that I don't know what you went through, but it sounds like you went deep within yourself and you shed maybe some cognitive illusions and healed from some wounds, and you were left with a core message of love is the answer. And that speaks to what JJ said and what you said, that love is the highest frequency, because another thing that I heard is that love is like light, meaning there is no opposite. There's either light or there's an absence of light. Like you can't go and throw darkness at something. You can only take away the light. And the same thing with love. And so when you can appeal to that sense of love, whether it's for writing, whether it's for a podcast, whether it's for a clothing line, that puts you at your highest peak. And so you use the substance to bring you to your depths, and it gave you a piece of wisdom that you can use when you're sober in your everyday life. So that's kind of the gift of that experience. And it seems like you've taken it and ran with it.
Yeah, I mean, I took it and I ran with it, and I figured, okay, like, how do I spread this message, you know, to others? Like, what's the easiest way, instead of just texting my mom and dad and my siblings and my friends, yo, I love you, bro, like things like that. So I figured, okay, I could put it on a t-shirt or put it on some type of apparel to where, you know, one of my friends, she said every time she travels, she, you know, she wears the Love is the Answer shirt, so that when she's walking through the airport, when she's going places, people just see it. And she says she literally sees people just looking and just smile to themselves, and like they might not say hi, but it just changes your mood when you see that.
In a world that's so inundated with like advertising and you know like whatever it is, like warning signs on the wall, or you know don't do this, or no trespassing, or you know follow the lines, or whatever it is. And you know I think it's so important to put messages out into the world that remind us and remind others that, you know, love is the highest frequency, and to be in a good state. You know, I can imagine walking through the airport with that shirt too, and it feeling like almost like a protection, because anybody that's looking at you, the first thing that they're seeing is the word love, right? And so that they know that you're walking with that piece of love, right? And then they're reminded and reflecting back, you know, within themselves to like, oh, okay, let's check in with what does that word mean to us. Damien, this the next question on the list, I don't know if you want to bring it up.
We kind of touched upon it. Where did you get the idea to start the clothing line Love Apparel? But I think the more
like the second part of that.
The part, were there any major obstacles getting it off the ground?
Yeah, and like what has your process been like, you know, going from like having this initial idea like, hey, I want to put Love is the Answer on a shirt, to coming up with this heart design and then figuring out how to get your merchandise, you know, produced?
Yeah, well, initially when I got the design, you know, I kind of sat on it for probably a couple months, you know, before I was trying to figure out exactly how I was going to get it out there. And then I happened to be in Philadelphia with my girlfriend visiting her family. And then I came to a place that like made t-shirts and hats and hoodies and things like that. And I was like, wow. So I got a couple of t-shirts for myself. And then I asked the owner, I was like, hey, do you guys mass distribute? Like, can you, if I wanted to like get this to Costa Rica or get this around the USA, could you do that for me? And they were like, yeah. You know, and so I started dealing with them, advertising to my friends initially on Instagram and just telling everybody about my idea, and then just taking it from there and then moving forward and forward and forward. And then now I work with a distributor called Printify. So I use Printify and I use my distributor in Philadelphia. And Printify just like expands everything into like mugs, you know, different things that I don't get from my distributor in Philadelphia, like sweats and shorts and different things like that.
Nice. And how would you describe the process or the progress, or we like to use the word evolution, right? So what's the what's the evolution been from you produced a few shirts, then you talked to them and they said, yeah, we can do more. Then you've been working with Printify to scale it a little bit more. And so what's that like timeline been like, and how where have you gotten to? Like how many pieces do you think you've sold?
I
1,000?
mean, now at this point, man, it's been about a year. I started working with Printify after like 8 months. And as far as sales, I really don't even know as far as sales. I just actually got I got something from my Cash App that was like showing me how much money I paid to my distributor. And it was like almost $8,000 to $9,000 that I was paying them. So I got to actually do the math on how much money I've made since then. And then I have to like check. Printify has been like 3.5 months I've been working with Printify. So I have to check how much money like I've made from that. I haven't even checked that yet. But basically everybody that is purchased has been probably 90% like my friends and everybody that's on my Instagram. It's crazy,
Nice.
right?
It's
Yeah,
amazing.
and I'm trying to figure out a way to branch out. That's where I'm at right now. I'm trying to figure out a way to branch out and get like my friends' friends that I don't know, and that's kind of the hard part. Because like
Yeah.
your friends are gonna support you, but how do you get to the next level of like, sometimes you think about influencers like, oh well, maybe I'll give a influencer a couple, shirts or a couple hats and have them do their posts, and then you realize that the influencers have fake followers. And you're like, okay, well that's
Yeah.
real. You know what I'm saying? You're paying them to do something, and then it's like they don't even have real followers, or maybe it's a female influencer and all her followers are males, and they're really just there to look at how she looks and not what she's selling. So it's like really tricky.
Yeah, yeah. You see those pages where they got 27,000 followers, but they got 65 likes on their first photo, and it's
Exactly.
like, if you got 27,000 real followers, you're probably going to have at least 1,000 likes.
You're right. You would think. You would think.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
But it comes back to what we said earlier. You got to put in the work. What you reap is what you show. $50 for 1,000 followers. I mean, what is
exactly.
that?
What
So
is
in
the whole
terms of branching
strategy?
out, yeah. So in terms of branching out, and it's 90% of your friends. In terms of like getting warm leads and referrals, it'd be like, hey, have your friend. If you have a picture of your friend with you, have them send it to 3 of their friends. Say, hey, this is my buddy Gilly. He's got this business, really cool stuff. I think that is just about the volume of like reaching out and going, hey, I believe in me so much that I'm going to say, if you like my product, reach out to 3 or 5, and maybe you give that person a discount. Maybe you do that kind of thing. Like the more referrals, you get 50%
I've
off.
done that. I've done
Really?
that. Yeah, but like what's crazy is like my friend group is so crazy. Like my friends, if you look at between me probably and JJ on Instagram, we probably have like 50 mutual friends. Some of my friends have 100 mutual friends. So like all my friends are like, you see what I'm saying? We're all like in the same kind of network. So my
Yeah.
next idea was, since I'm here in Costa Rica, I was thinking, okay, I'll just maybe buy a bulk of tank tops, different colors, and then just do face to face. Instead of actually going to it, putting my stuff in the boutique, I'll just do face to face, maybe at like the organic market on Saturdays or at the beach a couple of days a week, and just trying it that way, and then getting those people when they go back from wherever vacation they're on to do a post, and then maybe I can get some of their friends. I mean, I was just thinking of different options, and that was like my next option.
Nice. Yeah, from a marketing standpoint, because I do dabble in digital marketing, there's a lot of ways to go about it. There's a really great book that's called Building a Story Brand. And a big part of that is creating the story of your brand, right? And so, if you've got Love Apparel, Love is the Answer Apparel, Instagram, maybe you got a website as well, maybe even a YouTube channel, and then building out content that talks about like, you build out like, here's like our 10 primary messages that are part of the Love is the Answer story, right? And so then people are able to kind of tune into that, and then you like, share share quotes from celebrities, or it's about generating this content that makes the brand feel like it's a movement, right? And making content that's share worthy. And there's so much there too, the journey of developing a business, if that's a mission that you want to do, because it seems like you've kind of taken it very organically, right? Like you're like, I've got this merch, I've got this beautiful design, it speaks for itself, and people do love it. And so, I guess the question is, and I could even ask you this, is a cool thing to talk about, is like, if you could see this brand in 5 years, like what are your dreams with Love is the Answer?
Man, like, you're right. It did start off kind of organically. Like, it started off kind of, I just wanted to get a message out there. It wasn't like I was thinking, okay, I'm going to start a business, because what's funny is when I moved to Costa Rica, I gave away a lot of clothes, so I started scaling back from retail, and like scaling back from like, I was like more of a minimalist. So if you see me, I still have like a lot of clothes, but not as many as I had before. So I like battle with myself when it comes down to like doing the marketing and getting people to continuously, pay for things that like, so I don't know. I actually do not know, to be honest with you. It was really something for my friends in the beginning. And then people just liked it so much, and I was making decent money. So I'm like, wow, like, why not get this message out to as many people as possible? But as far as, how much revenue was I trying to make, or how big did I want to get? I don't know. I'm still thinking about that.
Fair.
Hey, that's fair. That's fair. That's an honest answer.
I mean, think about it. Like, JJ knows, here in Puerto Viejo, where we live, a lot of the expats that move here, for the most part, that I surround myself with, or that I've been, vibing with, are more on, the sovereign path, the path of, less is more. Like, they're getting rid of a lot of the stuff that they don't use. They're moving here. They're, getting tiny homes, or just, they're doing different things like that. So they're not really thinking about retail. So my customers, even here, are more on the tourist side of things. And I see like myself more giving away tank tops and t-shirts to like the locals that actually live here, because they don't really make that much money to be, to be able to purchasing t-shirt. To me, this tank top, maybe I'll sell it for, $20. But to me, like, $5-10 is a good price for it. You see what I'm saying? So when you're upcharging people, you have to think about your customers and how much they're willing to pay for that,
Or in different markets, like it's all relative,
exactly.
Right? Like in New York City, somebody might pay, $35 for a t-shirt.
Oh, for
right?
sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And that's sometimes the friends that I talk to that haven't purchased from me, and I'm like, hey, I see you got a polo shirt on. Like, I see what you're wearing. So you can't tell me that paying this price is expensive, because you're paying that for Nike, and you're doing these things over here. So, it just depends, man. I'm really still thinking about how far I want to take the clothing line, and, like what I want to do as far as like branching out and like, and getting with different influencers. And like, they have to be aligned with, kind of like my lifestyle almost, and not just have a bunch of followers,
And speaking of like success for your company and your message, it's so easy to think in terms of like monetary and revenue and dollar signs. But really, like, if love is the answer and you're living that message and you're giving people in your town a free shirt, like, that's the embodiment of the brand. That intention is what's driving it. And although there may be seasons or months or weeks where you don't make a hell of a lot of money, if you're still building that brand and putting that intention out, I think it's like a slingshot effect, where you're living the brand so authentically that over time it'll and then shoot off, where out of nowhere, maybe an influencer sees some of your stuff and is like, yo, that's dope. Who made that? And then you get connected. And then there's that, you see the manifestation of that slingshot. So who knows?
Sure. For sure. I think that way a lot. Like, I think, okay, when this will happen, that will happen, and everything will align like organically. You know, like things will just happen organically, and then I'm not going to be forcing somebody to do this or, you know, doing it. Might just, somebody might see it and be like, wow, I love this. You know what? I want to buy 1,000 of these and put them at my retreat. Like, who knows, you know, what can happen. So I'm just taking it day to day and just like rolling with the punches, talking to people and, you know, just getting more insight.
I
And
like
even
that.
right now, I never sold a t-shirt ever again. To me, I was a success, in my opinion.
Well
Just
said. Well said. Because people have received the message, so to
yeah,
speak.
because
You've gotten the message out.
initially it was all my friends. I was like, I just wanted all my friends to just, you know, be like, wow, you know, this is a nice message, and just put the message out. So right now, like pretty much every single one of my friends supported me, and that's really what I started out doing. And then when I seen that support was when I was like, whoa, I could probably make some money doing this. That's what pushed me to be like, yo, like people actually like this. So that's where I'm at now.
That's beautiful. And that's the way to be magnetic in life, right? It's like you're not chasing anything. You're putting out a beautiful signal and allowing it to come to you.
Exactly.
That reminds
Exactly.
me, there's this I don't know if it's Australian, but there's this bird. It's called the bower bird, and it builds a little cave, little nest thing, and then it finds the most shiny objects and colorful objects it can, and it places them outside of its little nest, and the male, and it draws a female into its beautiful little nest, right? Like
Oh,
it's not
wow.
going out hunting. It's like, no, look, I
Yeah.
got my gems. You come to me if you want.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah, I think it's called the bowerbird. Yeah, man. So yeah, I mean, you know, it's like there's two sides to that coin, right? It's like, you know, you could be capitalistic and think about, okay, it's like, how do I get, you know, retail contracts? How do I get in Target or whatever? Or you can be more organic and allow the message to speak for itself, you know, embracing more of that minimalist, like, you know, less of a consumeristic approach and allowing the message to proliferate kind of on its own. So tuning into like deeper levels of evolution, Gilly, you've got a lot of energy when I've seen you around town and you know at some social gatherings and stuff, and you know you always bring a good vibe. You've always got a lot of energy, and I've seen you on the basketball court as well.
Yeah.
Has basketball played a strong part in your personal evolution in your life?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, personally, like playing basketball has instilled just the discipline and the hard work, and also with like the reap what you sow little quote that I've used like since I was a kid that my dad told me. That kind of showed me that, you know, you put in the hard work and this is what pays off, you know, and every coach I've had throughout middle school, high school, and college, like, you know, it made me be on time and be prepared, you know, and I always learn 15 minutes early is on time, you know, on time is late, you know, so even like up to today, like if somebody invites me to a party that starts at 9, I'm always there like 8:45. I'm always the first one to the party. I have to like make myself be late, you know, because I'm just so used to just being on time, you know, so that's definitely had a big aspect of my life, just competitive sports and, you know, being in shape and trying to stay healthy.
That last chapter that I had when I had that house up on the hill there in Home Creek, I think you were the first person there, you and your girlfriend.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love it. I love it, man.
yeah,
You know, it's funny, like you meet people in life and you know, everybody carries a little bit of mystery, right? Like you don't really know who someone is, and it takes time to build friendship and to get to know people at deeper levels. You know, when I saw you playing basketball and coming to yoga classes, and you know, I didn't know if like maybe you're an ex NBA player or something, just kind of hiding out down in Costa Rica. Like you
yeah.
never know what
No,
somebody's story might be.
regular
Um,
guy, man. I'm a regular dude.
and I'm just trying to think of cool
You know what's
questions to
funny about
ask.
you?
Yeah.
You're the like one of the first, not the first person, but you're one of the only people that like talk to me like without judging me. You know, like a lot of people they see me and they see like the tattoos and the chain or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, this guy, who's this guy think he is?" Like, you know, he's flashy, or he's from Miami, this, that. And you're the only person that really like I met here that actually straight off, just random conversation, organically, just like got to know me. And then like randomly I see you in Osara and we're like, yo, what's good, man? Like you just like randomly invite me to your, like nobody really does that to me, man, to be honest with you. People
I mean,
say,
I see people as people, I think, yeah, I mean, I think people can think whatever they want. I read a book a long time ago. It's a pretty famous book, the Four Agreements. I don't know if you heard of it.
Yeah.
But there's four agreements. The first one is be impeccable with your word, mean what you say, do what you say you're going to do. Be impeccable with your word. Don't assume anything. Don't take anything personally, and always do your best. And I think not assuming anything is a really incredible frame for looking at life, because we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are, right? And so I think it's just so important to stay open-minded and just talk to people as their people, right? I don't know shit. That's how I try to approach it, right?
That's a good disposition to have, JJ, because I mean it's easy to cast judgment, and really what all judgment is it's a subconscious projection of things that you're unconscious about yourself. So if you don't like someone, they make you angry, you got to ask, okay, it's not about them, what about them makes me angry? And then you turn it, because everybody's a mirror, right? You can see yourself in everyone, and then you, like JJ said, you don't see the world as it is, you see it as you are. And coming back to the idea of we're all on a spiritual path, and what you're talking about, your business of not trying to force it, it's almost like you're surrendered to the process and you're letting the intention and the message do the guiding. And it's not like it has to happen now. And that sense of minimalism is a release of the illusions, of the desires, of the fears that plague us. And when you let go of all that stuff, you realize, what am I getting so worked up about? What am I so worried about? Granted, you still have to put the work in. But when you put the work in and I like what Alex Hormozi says. He says, I am the output of the work, not the outcome. So for sales, you make 200 calls, or you make 100 calls, send 200 messages, you get a hold of 10 people, 5 of them hang up on you, 3 of them say they want to have a message, and only 1 leads to a Zoom call. You don't go, oh man, I only got 1. You go, no, who I am as a consequence of engaging in this process is the important part, because those skills compound over time. And then, like we mentioned earlier, there's a slingshot effect. You may not be closing a lot of sales now, but if you keep going through the process, you're expanding your self-awareness, and you have the intention to get better, you will. And that takes time. And the fastest way you do it, you do the damn thing, and you do it in a surrendered state.
You reap what you sow.
Exactly. If you put too much pressure on yourself, and I think move too fast and think things are going to develop so quickly, then you could not, I wouldn't say you're going to fail, but you could get, kind of down on yourself thinking, wow, I put all this effort and, things aren't really working like I wanted to, so I'm going to quit. This is not probably the business I should be in. When if you try to kind of take it slow and move more organically, then things kind of just roll at a nice pace, and then you never know what can happen. But if you're putting too much pressure, then you can see failure coming, and it can deter you.
Yeah, you can't put too much pressure too fast.
Exactly.
I'm 3 weeks into a 20-week marathon training program. I'm planning to run my first marathon in January.
Wow, nice.
And thank you so much. And I'm adding 1 mile every weekend to a longer run, and then during the week doing 2 or 3 shorter runs. But I did 3 miles on Tuesday and 3 miles this morning, and I'm doing 6 miles this weekend. And I remember, I don't want to push myself too hard, because it's a long game, right? I don't want to hurt my knees or my ankles or whatever it is, my back. I want to make sure that I keep stretching, take it at a good pace. And I will reap what I'm sowing. I will get stronger in time just by doing the required work. I don't have to do more than is required. So yeah. And hey, thanks for what you said about seeing you for who you are and not making any judgments or assumptions. And I feel the same way, man. I felt like from the day I met you, I felt like we could just have an authentic, hey, how's it going kind of conversation and, just, what do they say? Mano y mano?
People invite me to their house. Nobody.
Really? I mean, I always see you out like on Grace's Instagram, right? Like, I see you guys like hanging out at the club, and it's like 25 people. Look like you're having a great time.
Like I don't know. Like, guys, for example, like males, like I have a lot of female friends, but usually males, like they see me and they see me probably as like either competition or I don't know. Like you're just like authentic. Like, you thought about me. You're like, yo, I'm doing something at my house. Come through. Like,
well, you're a character, man. You're a strong character. And honestly, I'm a builder of tribes and movements. And I think the alphas need to unite. And that's what this Evolution Now project is about. And that's why Damien's on the team. And that's why I'm on his team. And that's why we're all here together having this conversation. And so I want to just loop it back to the beginning in the quote of the outer work can never be great if the inner work is small. And so I would ask you, Gilly, what is there anything in your life that you would consider the inner work? Like what does that mean to you? And do you feel like you do inner work?
I don't know. Like what would you consider inner work?
I mean, maybe meditation or even it was, I guess, self-inquiry maybe would be like the term is like, like as basic and simple as like, how am I feeling today? Or like, after chatting with somebody, you think like, oh, I wonder, how I approached that, that conversation or, even and I think Damien with your progression with fitness, like maybe like the question of like, am I being my best self today, or whatever that might be, like that inner consciousness, that inner inquiry of like, who do I want to be, who am I, and what am I here for? Maybe.
Yeah, for sure. Like every day, I'm trying to figure out a way to be better, with my diet, with my fitness. And then now, like, as far as like my girlfriend's pregnant, I'm thinking, okay, it's even more of like when my son is here, what am I how's he gonna take me? How's he gonna see me? Like, I want to be a reflection of what he sees as like, wow, he's a king, so that puts me in a position where I'm like, I'm trying to get back to my college weight, even though I'm 40 years old, I'm like still trying to be in shape and, I'm trying to understand like life a little bit better, so I'm always thinking about ways of making life easier and, which is one of the reasons I'm here in Costa Rica. If I was in the States, I don't think I would be on the same path, like I am now as far as like, doing the inner work and just being out here in nature every day, creating just a type of meditative state. If I'm riding my bike or if I'm at the beach, just creates this space for me to like, not really sit back and meditate, but just be in a state of like, just gratitude every day, thinking, okay, I'm happy to be here and how can I grow, more every day.
So that inner work of like projecting gratitude, that's exactly what it is. That's a powerful state. You can't be afraid and grateful at the same time. So if you're focused on the gratitude, it'll expand. You said something really, really great, being a king. And now there's a book called King, Warrior, Lover, Magician. It's about male archetypes, and those are the four main ones. And the idea of and each archetype has a positive and a negative pole. Now, to be a positive king influence, what does that mean? It means that you're balanced, that you have amazing confidence and purpose. And your confidence comes from the combination of balance, purpose, and well-being. So that way you can view the world with a firm but kindly eye. You are that of benevolence. You're always there to pick people up, see their talents despite their shortcomings, and provide a sense of calm rationality in the midst of chaos. Now, that's masculinity. And people throw terms around like toxic masculinity, when really what they should be saying is immature masculinity. And that's the shadow king. That's the person that's using violence, that's using size, that's using intimidation and fear tactics to get what they want. The masculine is an ordering principle, and it's not controlling. It's order. It's for It's for emotional stability, it's for protection, and it's for upholding everything that we hold dear. And the fact that you're talking about being that king, I mean, and that's to operate from love. That's to realize that archetype within you and to appeal to the strongest principles that we as men can embody to make this a better world.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Amen. I'm just breathing in what you just said, man. That was powerful.
Because it was crazy. I think a lot of times, especially these days and probably even in the past when we're bringing life into the world, we're having kids and we're raising kids, a lot of humans, like, we don't know ourselves, so that's another, like, quote that I go by is, like, know yourself, because, the ignorance of ourselves is now being projected into the youth, which is like a circle of ignorance and bad diet, bad habits, bad attitude, traumas. So I guess me organically, coming to Costa Rica, doing ayahuasca, getting into this loving, frequency, trying to grow my own food and things like that. It's putting me in a position to, not only spread a good message, but now I'm in position to, now if I am reproducing, I can, teach the next generation, a better way of living,
I think that's paramount, because the children are our future,
Sure.
And I think some people would say that the powers that be are intentionally sort of dumbing down our youth with TikTok and Instagram, or trashy television programming. But it's up to us, because the television is a terrible parent. The television is a terrible babysitter. We need to be in our children's lives, and we need to be spreading messages of wisdom and strength, and like the mature masculine, the protector, the provider, and to have values, and that doesn't mean you can't have fun in life and get a little wild, but you gotta think, and you gotta stand for something, or else you'll fall for anything, right? So I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you made your way. So, like, how did you make your way down to Costa Rica? And do you feel like connecting with the land brings you inner peace? And you also said you're growing some food.
Yeah, I mean, initially, my godfather, he's basically like an uncle to me, my dad's best friend, he's from Costa Rica. He's from Cahuita, so he retired, he moved back, and I was planning to come visit. Was the initial plan, was to come visit for like a couple of weeks and just check things out. And in between the time that I was planning the trip, I was asking him about land prices, and he was telling me these astronomically cheap prices. So then I was like, yeah, if I can sell my house, which I own my house in Fort Lauderdale at the time, I was like, if I can make what Zillow tells me I can make, I was like, I can buy a house or buy land, build a house, and still have some money like in the bank, and just, start growing my own food and, figure it out from there. And so I ended up getting like double where I thought I was going to make. And then at that point, I was like, this is a sign, I'm out, because I feel like half the battle in Western society is the mortgage, the rent you're having to pay, the student loans. You can never really get ahead, and then you can grow your own food, but like, you don't have time to be doing that, because you're always, working, and you want to enjoy your money, and you're always like on the hamster wheel. So I was thinking, if I got here and I owned my land and I was able to cultivate, fruits, vegetables, then that's a good percentage of the battle. That means that now I have no mortgage because everything's paid, and now I can grow my own food. So that's my nutrition right there. So any money that I do make is for fun, and
So
that's where I'm at.
let me ask you, you're growing fruits and veggies, which is all good, but what about like protein sources? Are you eating lean meats? Are you catching fish, or what are you doing for that?
To be honest with you, I don't really eat a lot of meat. you know? And when I do, I usually eat it out, to be honest. But if I did say I did consume a lot of meat or chicken or fish, like the ocean's right down the street. So if I want to do that, I could do that, and there's people I know who own chickens. So if I want to own chickens, I could do that as well. So that's always a possibility. But yeah, I don't consume a whole lot of meat, especially like in my house. I mostly cook mostly fruits and vegetables.
Now, is that as a consequence of it's easier to grow those things, or is there any belief systems around consuming meat?
I don't know. Like my dad wasn't a heavy meat eater. He would eat chicken, but he never was like really into beef and red meat. He told me that when he was in Jamaica, that they would only eat red meat or any type of poultry on Sundays. So I think that just stretched into the way I live my life. And of course, there was a certain point in my life where I was eating like a lot of fast food when I was in college and things like that. But then I realized, like right before I moved to Costa Rica, I was fully vegan for like 6 months. And I felt lighter. I felt just a little more healthy. And so now I'm kind of gauged into like the 80-20, where, it's like 80% fruits and vegetables. And then like maybe once or twice a week, I'll eat some chicken or I'll have like some beef or something like that. And I just feel better that way.
Hey, I feel you. I did raw vegan for about a month, and then like I ended up getting drunk and I got a pizza, and that was the end of that. But I did the carnivore diet in 2020 for 10 months, where it was primarily fatty cuts of steak and eggs and cheese. But that's the thing. Like, what works for you doesn't necessarily work for me. But I think when you go to that extreme of being like a vegan or a carnivore, and then you dial it back, like you said, 80-20. You find that balance, because it's better to go. I'm always a believer. It's better to go a little too far and then dial it back than to go to the edge and go, well, I want to know what it's like to base jump, like, and then just do it and figure it out and go, not for me. But
I mean, I talk to all the time about it. Like everybody I talk to who's a vegan or who's a like my cousin's a vegetarian. My aunt was a vegetarian. He never ate meat until he got married, and his wife eats chicken, so now occasionally he eats chicken. And I've been like looking online and like doing a lot of research lately about the blood type diet and things like that. So I'm still learning, but I'm just going off the way I feel. When I do like the 80-20, and I feel a lot lighter, I feel a lot, I don't know, more energetic. And I was gonna say, I've like gone days where I eat like meat, and then I'll like right before maybe I go try to exercise, and I feel like super sluggish. And then if I drink a smoothie and eat a salad, I feel perfectly fine. So it seems like meat does, take a little bit more of a toll on your body as far as your digestive to like break it down. And it seems like fruits in the natural state are more compatible with my body. That's just the way it seems to me.
And that comes back to the adage you said, know thyself. Because like I eat meat I eat red meat 3 to 4 times a week. I eat chicken pretty much every day. I started to eat beef liver and onions 3 times a week, and I love it. When animals kill other animals, the first thing they go for is the liver. And people like scoff at it, but you put some seasoning, some Dijon mustard, some hot sauce on that, it's delicious. But it's funny because when I eat meat and I eat chicken, like I feel light, but I feel like dense. Like my muscles are dense. And it's funny you said light, so I imagine like you like that lighter feeling. I kind of like that denser feeling, but it's per the individual, man. It's different strokes for different folks. But what are you doing for training, Gilly?
Everything. Like I cycle, I play basketball, I do my gymnastics rings, pretty much like at least once a week, and a lot of pull-ups, push-ups, things like that. But like nowadays, I'm not doing a lot in one set. Like maybe if I work out for one day, I might do like 20 or 30 pull-ups, maybe 50 push-ups, something like that. And I see myself as being like sustained with maybe a couple times a week doing like weight training. But as long as I get cardio, I'm good. Bike, cycling, basketball, and I look pretty fit. People think I do a lot more than what I actually do, probably because I've just been doing it since I was like 15, 16.
So you used to do a lot more weight training?
Yeah, like when I was in college, obviously I did a lot more weight training. But then after college, I kind of just like I haven't actually lifted weights in probably 15 years.
Oh, wow.
I just do body weight, exercise, but I still look like pretty lean. So I think it's just like muscle memory and maybe the environment and maybe genetics as well, because I know people that do a lot more than what I do and don't look, as cut as me. So it could be genetics as well.
You don't miss going in there and throwing some iron around?
Nah, man, I don't. I don't know. I'm 200 pounds. So to me, like doing like pull-ups and push-ups, like, I don't know, like I feel great. I feel great. I never was really a weightlifter, I never was like a real like in the gym guy. I was more of like, just a couple curls here, play some basketball, do some push-ups, some sit-ups, and that's it.
Calisthenics routines.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, I think it's they do say it's like you can once you build your body from the lifetime of those kinds of habits, it doesn't take as much to maintain it, But then, like you said, genetics and all kinds of different factors in it. There's so many topics that have just been bouncing around between fitness and nutrition. I did have an ayahuasca ceremony that I attended 3 or 4 years ago, and the message, everybody talks about messages they receive, because it really is a deep meditation. The experience I had is there was about 30 people sitting in a circle. We got together around 8 p.m. and I think we broke up at like 3 a.m. But there was like a musician in the middle, some people singing, and kind of went around later in the night and kind of shared our insights, and it was candle lit. And so it's kind of, we're in this like space of meditation and just kind of going inwards. And I received a deep message that said to me, whatever you believe is true. And the way I interpreted that is instead of thinking that there's one ultimate truth, it helped me to realize that no, there's an infinite number of truths held by every single person. And so when we believe something in our heart, in our deepest, what do they say, the conkles of your heart? When we believe something wholeheartedly, we then speak about it. We then live it in our actions. And so therefore, what we believe becomes true in our life. And so there is no correct path as I see it when it comes to nutrition, and know thyself. I think is written on like the Greek temple of Delphi or something. It says, know thyself. And, Gilly, I think you hit it on the head with the, how do you feel? Right. And so many things go into that factor. Like, Damien, you're up in Massachusetts where it's a little bit colder, it's more temperate. And Gilly, you're down in Central America. I'm in South Florida, which is similarly tropical. And I do find that, if I'm working out a lot, I do like to have fish or chicken or a little bit of meat. But I've been finding more and more that hydration is the most important element for how much energy I feel I have. And a good friend of mine who's jacked, and he's vegan, he gave me a tip and he said, eat your water. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, fruits and veggies. When you consume a lot of fruits and you consume a lot of veggies, it stays in your digestion, that moisture, that water. Whereas when we just drink a glass of water, it comes out, we urinate rather quickly. And so I've found, especially living in hotter places, that, when I think I might be hungry, maybe I'll eat a half or even a whole watermelon or an entire papaya, or I might have like 5 or 6 bananas and then feel full on fruit. And it's actually like kind of mind blowing how much energy I feel I have. And I've experimented with veganism. I've definitely trended more towards being omnivorous, eating some of everything. But I find that the more fruits and vegetables I eat, the more energy I feel I have. So I feel like there is a strong balance there. And when we think about like our primate ancestors, if you believe in evolution.
Sure.
It's like we're roaming around the jungle. What are we drawn to eat? We're drawn to eat like these colorful orbs that are hanging off the trees, right? Look, ooh, what's this bright red, what bright orange, bright yellow? Like, it kind of makes sense that we would be drawn to eat fruit. So
Well,
anyway,
I
yeah.
was also thinking, like, I always think about, like, my parents obviously are from tropical areas of the world where there's a lot more sunlight, you know? So in my mind, I was thinking, if there's a field of mangoes and I'm hungry and I'm like looking at all these mangoes that I can pick and just bite into it and like feel the sweetness in the water and the juice, I'm like, why would I say, you know what, I don't want that, and spear a cow or a deer or like kill a rabbit and then have to eat the carcass, like you have to probably heat it up, or maybe you don't. But why would I eat blood from an animal and hurt an animal when I could just simply just pull the fruit off the tree and it's sweet and I don't have to cook it? It just seems like so, but in a colder climate now, where the trees might be dead, because it's wintertime, and then it's like at that point, it's like, all right, for survival, I'll kill that animal. I need to survive. This is a different type of situation now. But as far as living abundantly, that's another reason why I moved to the tropics. So I'm like, in the tropics, it's the same weather all year. So if you can grow it now, you can grow it in September, you can grow it all year long. So that's why it's another reason why I'm here, because it's just so easy to grow things.
So yeah, man, I love that. I love that. What are your favorite fruits to go for? And are there any specific things that you're growing on your land that you're proud of or that you've
I'm
harvested?
proud of everything. Every fruit that I love, I planted. I got mangoes, papayas, guava, pineapples, man, everything, man. Mulberries. I got 16 coconut trees, bananas, plantain, oranges, everything.
Abundance.
Really, you know?
Abundance.
Yeah. And then when it rains and pours, like when the fruits start producing, it's like you get so much, it just makes sense. I'm just like, you slice open a papaya and then you see like 1,000 seeds inside of it. And it's like, yo, I just plant a couple of those and you'll be fine for years, you know?
I remember the first time I cut down a banana tree, because I went to Costa Rica right before the pandemic started and I stayed for quite some time. And there were some banana trees in the field behind my friend's house I was staying at. And like after about a month, one of the branches started to, turn ripe. And so with the banana tree, you cut the tree and it kind of falls over, and then you take the bunch, this massive bunch of bananas. There might be 100 bananas on there. And the trees themselves, they shoot up little babies and they grow again. But the crazy part is an entire banana tree, an entire rack of bananas grows in about 1 year. And then you have 100 bananas that just shoot up out of the ground. It's just absolutely amazing how abundant it is in the tropics. But not to get too stuck on this tangent. I mean, Gilly and I think I did spend quite a lot of time in Costa Rica, and I can relate to a lot of this. I think it's a beautiful topic to cover, because at the end of the day, our nutrition and how we subsist, our business meetings, our gatherings, our dating culture. Let's go out and grab a bite. I mean, what we eat is who we are. And so it's always a cool conversation to get into our nutrition and how we support this vessel. And maybe just a brief tangent or a segue might be, is like, how do we support this vessel with our nourishment, our hydration, our fitness? But then how do we celebrate being alive? And one thing that I love is music. I play guitar and I sing, and I love to share music with people, lead sing-alongs, go out dancing and stuff. And Gilly, what's your relationship to music? I've seen you out in different social settings where there's music, and I feel like that may be a strong part of your life as well.
Yeah, well, I don't know, I love music, and I realized that during my growing up, and the music, like the rap music and the R&B music that I grew up on, is, I don't know, like now when I look back, I'm like, wow, like I glorified like the rappers that were, cool and like the gangster rappers. And, I still listen to that type of music here and there, but I found myself more leading into like more spiritual, type of music, at this point in my life, and then maybe like 2 years ago, I had this psychic friend of mine who told me, she was like, you need to be more like vocal with like, your path and like the things that you're learning here in Costa Rica. And then I downloaded an app called Rap Chat that like gives you like different beats and things like that. And I started making music. Like it was like I was channeling all the messages that were coming to me when I moved to Costa Rica through music. And I made an album called Know Yourself. Crazy, right?
Yeah, that is pretty crazy, man, to go from listening to making your own music. And yeah, I feel like times have changed. I feel like, some of the old school rappers like Run DMC or even early Jay-Z stuff. Like I just feel like there was more authenticity, and there was more there, speaking about like being fucking awesome and like actually like shining your skills and being able to be a lyricist and be, smart about what you're saying and what you mean. And then it's kind of been hijacked into being more about, this like, money, bitches, hoes, and drugs or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So can people find this album that you made?
Yeah, the album's on all platforms. Called Know Yourself, KNOWYASELF.
And then your artist name?
Gillydagod.
Cool. And that's your Instagram handle, right?
That's my Instagram handle, exactly.
And where did that come from, Gillydagod?
I don't know. Before that, I think I was on Instagram, I was Chili Gilly or something like that. And then when like around the transition time when I was moving to Costa Rica, I was looking at like a lot of YouTube videos and I was like, realizing that we're all gods. Like, we're all a piece of the creator, so like, I was like, wow, so I was like, I'm gonna change my name to Gillydagod, but people see that as probably looking at like, who's he think he is? But I think we're all, manifesting in our own way. We're all a piece of, the main source of energy that just is reflecting down here on earth. And so I feel like, everybody's a god, and every woman is a god.
And again, we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. And so when someone sees that, a person that doesn't understand it may see Gillydagod and think, oh, what an ego he may have, or who does he think he is? But that's maybe how they see their interpretation of the word of God, the word God, or someone who gets it. Like, for instance, I look at you and I feel inspired. I see somebody that's living their truth because you're expressing yourself authentically. You've got the courage to wear a strong chain. You've got the courage to just show up as you are. I feel like I've been talking a lot. I'd love to chime back in with Damien, and I think we're coming up on an hour. We might wrap it up soon.
Yeah, and it comes back to how you're seeing the world. Like you were saying with rap, now it's just, you see like those memes, but they're videos. It's somebody like rap back in 1990s, 2000s, and it's something dope that we all love. It could be something like you said, early Jay-Z. And now it's just superficial. It's like they're mumbling and it's auto-tuned. So somebody with that superficial, flashy perception of like, Gillydagod, who does this guy think he is? Versus someone that has done the inner work and they know their own inner depth. They know that we are powerful creators. Goes, oh, this cat's got something right. But it comes down to framework and what are you looking at? Because as you were saying earlier, there is no one truth. Truth is subjective. To the person that has been fired from multiple jobs, who has been lied, cheated, and stolen from, the world is a place that's going to cheat them and hurt them. And they have all the evidence to reinforce that claim. But it's the person that is loving and that has persevered through those kinds of negative experiences. They go, you know what? Life is a feedback loop. And the stronger I become, the tougher I get, the more I'm going to be rewarded for that. So depending on what you're looking at and how you respond versus react, you're going to get a completely different world.
Sure, for sure.
What does evolution now ring up in your mind, and what do you think of when you hear about personal evolution and evolution now, this thing that we're doing?
I mean, I have evolution tattooed on my side. I mean, I'm all about it. Like I just feel like I don't know, like that's a part of this journey. I feel like in this life we have to evolve. If you believe in reincarnation, you might start the next life and you have to evolve and keep moving and keep rolling with the punches and keep learning and keep growing. And that's just what it is. You can't stay the same, So I'm all about it. And when you say evolution now, it's like, let's not wait. Like evolution today. Like let's start that journey right now. So I'm all for it.
Awesome.
But we did mention, just to finish up, we did mention quotes, know thyself, you reap what you sow. And then what JJ said is eat your water, which I love. So how we kind of wrap these things up is there another quote you want to share with our audience? Or are there any events or anything special coming up that you want to shout out?
No, I mean, that's it. I mean, that's what I live by. I live by, you reap what you sow. I live by, know yourself. And I live by love is the answer, Those are my three quotes. And, basically that's what I try to, portray to the world,
Beautiful. Well, I think you're doing a great job of it, man. How can people find out more about Love is the Answer and
yes.
Your brands?
The Instagram page is Love Apparel _ Love Apparel. The website is love-is-the-answer-store.myshopify.com. But if you go to Love Apparel Instagram page, you can just get right to there by the link. And then my Instagram page is _ Gillydagod _ and then you can see the album on all platforms. Know yourself, Gillydagod.
I'm gonna check it out, man. I'm actually gonna spit a rhyme because I was thinking, like freestyle came to like the MC world, the cypher, the rap battles, and then it became hip hop, and then the R&B, and then now it's become this modern thing. But there's a great spoken word artist, you might know him. His name's Saul Williams, and he's I think he originated in Brooklyn. One of my favorite documentaries ever is this documentary called Brooklyn Boheme. Have you heard of that one? Have you seen that?
No, Brooklyn Boheme.
Yeah, I gotta send it to you, man. It's about the era of like Wesley Snipes and like the directors and the Chris Rock's in it and all these people that came out of Brooklyn in like the 80s. But this poem is called, I think that Saul Williams is now probably in his like 50s or something, but he wrote this when he was late in his teens. But I memorized this a few years ago, and it's called Five Senses. Five senses cannot sense the fact of our existence, and that's the only fact. Fax me a fact, and I'll telegram, a hologram, or telephone the son of man and tell him he is done. Leave a message on his answering machine telling him there are none. God and I are one, times moon, times star, times sun. The factor is me. I slung amethyst rocks on Saturn blocks till I got caught up by earthling cops. So I stopped combing my mind so my thoughts could lock. I'm tired of trying to understand. Perceptions are mangled, matted, and knotted anyway. Life is more than what meets the eye and I. So elevate I to your third, and when that shit seems absurd, your thoughts leave you third isolated. No man is an island, but I often feel alone, and I find peace through. Om.
That's dope. Well done, bro.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Nice.
Well, hey, I hope you guys out there have really enjoyed this session of Evolution Now. Thank you so much for being present with us this week, Gilly. Thank you, Damien. Once again, we've got another rocking episode to share with our audience. This has been really fun.
Thank you so much, Damien. Thank you, JJ. Really appreciate you guys. Really good conversation.
Likewise, man. Until next time, keep growing.
Keep growing.
Thanks, bro. Peace.